Okay, well, as you can tell by the title, the world caught fire last night and it hasn't stopped yet. So we're going to probably be bringing you more news throughout the day and more updates. But in the meantime, let's just jump into it. All right. This is, yeah, we have a busy day ahead of us, Matt. There's fires all over, and it looks like it's our job to jump in the middle of them and start reporting on what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just barely getting into it, so you're going to have to catch me up on a whole lot of it, aside from the FAA.
Well, let's go with state first. Eight Laverne, Tennessee cops disciplined. Now, when I say disciplined, 5 of them were fired, 3 of them were suspended in one police department for sexual misconduct. You'll never guess why. See, the first thing your mind goes to is they're abusing prisoners or people that they stop. No,
well, you said cops, but so that would eliminate prison.
Well, like for instance, they pull you over and say, "Hey, I was going to write you a ticket, but you do this for me."
Yeah, do me a favor though. Yeah.
yeah. It does. It's not
quo there.
It's not that. Are you ready for your eyes to go buggy? A female cop was having sex with 7 different cops, some of them at the same time, on duty in government places, and including one sergeant.
Aren't those office perks?
Including one sergeant.
Wow, dude.
In one department. Eight. What's a department? Especially for a little podunk town like that. What is it, 12? At least half to a third of their force is either suspended or fired now. Because of this loose-lipped cop who, couldn't keep her uniform trousers on.
Yeah, I thought fraternizing wasn't kind of frowned upon anyway.
They actually said Tennessee is now, because of this, going to have to retrain all their officers. I'm sorry, what kind of training do you need to know not to sleep with other officers on duty?
Well, no, because see what that was training. They were training to how you coerce, the people.
I know what it is. It's because the handbook said that, that kind of relationship is not recommended, and it didn't say it's forbidden. So now they have to retrain them.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I just don't get it. And I saw this girl. She's cute, but she's not that cute. Not enough to have it.
We've had stuff here where some dude, police officer, posted online about tasing cows and stuff like that.
Right.
And also there's, one guy getting caught, in a McDonald's parking lot on duty in a car.
Right.
But not with another cop, with a civilian.
Right. But now you're talking 8 cops at one time. 8.
These is all the only ones that get caught. Imagine what does not get caught. Imagine what slips through the cracks.
That's crazy. And yes, it's in Tennessee, but that shouldn't make a difference.
No.
I don't understand. I mean, if there was that much of an attraction, why wouldn't they just wait till they were off? And some of them were married, and some of their wives were involved with this girl.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. One of the officers' wives was caught making out with the female officer at a company party.
At a company, you mean police party?
Correct. I don't remember if it was a Christmas party or a holiday party, but at some function where there was partying and I'm guessing alcohol, one of the officers who were involved with this female cop, his wife was making out with her. Yeah,
That's
like
so bizarre.
it's like, and I'm pretty sure that and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Tennessee is a red state.
Oh yeah, yeah. Red,
You know,
definitely red, not purple, pink, or anything. It's red.
you know those people who say that anyone who's not completely straight, monogamous, and in a traditional marriage is the devil.
Well, talk about the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones saying that we're having all these weird things, and there they are. They're the ones getting caught with underage girls and trafficking and groping their staffers and
And now you have,
which is
and now you
now
have police orgies. I don't.
yeah, and there's only so much visual I'd like on that. Yeah, we're about to have a friend. Don't walk across my keyboard. Thank you, buddy.
So yeah, that was the first thing that came to light yesterday. Was almost an entire police force is grounded in one way or another because toys, reasons, sex.
Well, yeah, but in the meantime, what's going to happen to their community? It's not while all those people are being trained. It's gonna put a lot of strain on them.
That's the other thing. The mayor and the chief said that they're doing everything they can, and they will continue to do everything they can to reinstill trust of them back into the community.
You know, your trust in the community shouldn't be that damn fragile that you have to really redouble your efforts to get trust in the community. That's bullshit.
Well, when you take
This situation shouldn't fracture, or it shouldn't let them believe that their trust is fractured that much. It tells me that there's more to the story, that there's so much more even that they're aware of.
What I don't get is, and one officer was not suspended or fired, although she was involved, because speculation only, but because she is married to an executive or someone on the board for the police department. So she kind of gets a pass for some reason. But
yeah, that's something else we so need to fix.
But still, I mean, when you go into a community and you feel safe, your cops do their job. But then when you hear that they're not doing their job because they're all pulled off to the side having a circle jerk or whatever.
Right.
While you're waiting because somebody's breaking into your house, it kind of erodes the trust in the local police department.
No doubt. But you got to, keep in mind it's becoming more and more the exception. Or yeah, it's okay or whatever. It gets overlooked a lot. We're only seeing what's reported. What about the ones that the victims are too afraid to report stuff? Or in this case, there's no victim necessarily, except perhaps the person that needs help down the road that's not getting it.
Right. I agree with you. And that would shake any community's trust, if you ask me.
Yeah. Because it takes time to develop that kind of stuff too. I wouldn't think that something that large would happen, so fast or immediate. It didn't start that way.
I mean, I could understand if it was like a female cop and maybe the sergeant had a discreet affair aside from their married partner, away from their married partners, and they got caught. I get that. But when there's 7 guys and 1 girl, all on the same police force,
I think the odds increase that someone's making some money on that too.
And like I said, including 1 sergeant. It baffles the mind.
I agree.
And you notice, I just want to point out, you've looked over some of the news today. You notice and I repeat, no Republican news or outlets have reported this at all.
Of course they're not gonna, because they're just as guilty for that kind of stuff.
This was broken by a news media outlet in Nashville.
I wouldn't be surprised on the subject that Madison Cawthorn's leaked information was probably not that far from the truth. I would not be surprised, especially after hearing this. You know, because
speaking of Madison, let's go on to the federal news, shall we? I'm not sure if you were aware of this.
Yeah.
But yesterday, the House decided to make a subcommittee to in their words,
investigators
to investigate the weaponization of the federal government.
Probably the January 6th committee as well. They want
more importantly, the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Did you notice that the moment January 6th dawned, that the January 6th website information was gone or extremely difficult to get? I'm glad I downloaded it. I've got all 900 pages.
Now, they want to... Now, there have been subcommittees in the past to oversee what the DOJ does. And the way it works normally is that the DOJ will give them all the information on cases as long as the cases have been closed. Then the government oversight committee can weed through all of that and to take note of their procedures and so forth to decide if if things need to be changed. This subcommittee wants active cases.
Right, and also the people on that committee are the people that are being investigated.
Right,
so they're getting to look at the evidence that is against them. You know, correct. Well, whatever. Personally, I say show it to them because it shouldn't matter because the indictments should still come and there shouldn't be anything that they should be able to do about it because the DOJ should already have that information.
Here's my question.
Go ahead, look at it. See what it
Can a subcommittee shut down or fire DOJ?
Parts of it probably. Yeah,
that would be my worry.
Or they might be able to affect salaries and things like that. I've heard some of that where they can even bring salaries down to zero, if they so choose. Which, I say keep those people that are getting zero salary, somehow pay them and keep them in their job.
I mean, at that point,
GoFundMe.
At that point, if they do something like that, I hate to say this because the word gets thrown around a lot, but wouldn't that be an act of treason? To effectively shut down the Federal Department of Justice?
I wouldn't say so much treason as maybe a form of subterfuge or something like that. They're trying to get away with a crime. They're in essence the district attorney in their own case, and they're shredding the evidence that the other investigators have found.
And in that same sense, would that be something that the
treason?
The government ethics oversight committee would look at?
Yeah, but they're also looking at chopping the balls off those committees as well.
Well, like I said, there's two branches. The one that they want to cut is the one that does the preliminary investigation to find out if there's enough to take it to the actual oversight, the actual ethics committee.
I bet you that if they wind up doing all of these bizarre things, that in 2 years, I would not be at all surprised if every single seat that's red, that's up for grabs, gets turned. Because even, I know some pretty diehard Republicans, and they would be quite upset about this because of what's going on with the party. It's one thing to be a conservative, or even whatever which way you lean on your wing. You know, there's rules for a reason, because if they do all this, what's to prevent us from going back in and doing the same thing when it's our turn?
Right.
You know, so it's got to stop.
Here's what I don't get. If there are those conservatives in the GOP, in the House, why was it a unanimous vote and not, a majority yay with some dissent?
You mean as far as the members, or are you talking constituents?
Members.
Yeah, that's because the ones that got elected, there were a lot more crazies that were elected in the office and kept their seats. So that's why they have such a, I don't know. I have a feeling though that the current GOP members realize what this 20 can do to them. They can cripple the entire House, the government, keep them held hostage. I have a feeling that I don't know. I don't want to, think that, I just hope that this gives momentum to us, allows us maybe to.
Well,
they created a monster, and I think there's some of them are starting to realize it, especially some of the old timers.
Well, I can see that some of the Democratic House, are getting, I don't want to say disillusioned. They're just it's just out of, the members of the Democratic House are fed up, and some of them are throwing their hands up. For instance, your favorite, Katie Hobbs.
Katie Hobbs?
Oh, I'm
Carrie
sorry.
Lake.
No. The nice
Coloradan? Which one?
Hold on. All of a sudden, hot flash. The Katie Porter.
Oh, Katie Porter.
Who is part of the Democratic House.
Yes, now my favorite. I like her a lot.
Yes, now wants to switch to the Senate.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because she's just had enough of the shit that's going on in the House.
She's trying to be extremely respectful to Feinstein, which she should. It's not personal. This is, hey, man, we need to do stuff now.
I did the math.
Feinstein's just not willing to cross some of her old ties. I understand that, too.
I did the math. Feinstein, if she gets elected in the next wave of elections, if she gets reinstated, she's going to be like 95 years old.
She'll be 92.
No, she's 92 now.
Oh, she's 92 now.
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, then she'll win a 6-year stint. She'll be 98.
Right.
So yeah, she'll be. I'm sorry, but at the odds, I think, of her surviving her next tour, no disrespect. I mean, that's a lot to ask. The job takes a lot out of you. That maybe that's another thing. Maybe she's not doing the job.
No, my bad. We were both wrong. She's 89 years old. By the time she gets elected in 2 years, she'll be 91. Then serve 6 years. She'll be 97 when she gets out.
Right, 97. Okay, I knew it was somewhere close.
So there's no way. I mean, it is time for her. In my opinion, no offense to anyone. I mean, she's done a great job and all, but it is time for her to step down.
Yeah, and there's a few other of the old ones too that are doing the same thing voluntarily. Like, hey, it's time to turn it over to the next generation. Let us try to fix this fucking mess. For them, not even saying us. I mean, even people like myself, they need.
Okay, yeah,
they're the ones that are going to inherit this piece of shit we left them.
This next order of business is complicated, but I need you to take your personal feelings and put them aside and strictly look at this from a political and business standpoint. Okay? I hope you can do that. Last night.
I'll try not to say fuck you very much.
Last night, reports came out that the WWE. Okay, first let me back that up. Yesterday morning, early yesterday, Stephanie McMahon, who was the co-CEO of WWE, stepped down and has left the WWE it appears permanently. In the wake of what happened was her father was removed. She was put in. Her father decided, because he has, I believe it's 81% of the voting stock, put himself back in.
No problem.
Fired three board members, 2 others resigned, and then he put 2 of his people in to that, and they unanimously decided that he was going to be the executive CEO now. Now that happened yesterday around noontime.
Mm-hmm.
Late last night, reports flooded the internet. The reason he said he was coming back was to help them facilitate something that would bring lots of money into their shareholders. And they even got the Financial Institute of JP Morgan involved. Now, late last night, reports started trickling and then pouring in that the WWE, Vince McMahon sold the WWE to the PIF in Saudi Arabia, which is the government-run and owned financial institute in Saudi Arabia, owned and run by the prince. You know, the guy who's responsible for murdering journalist Khashoggi and covering it up. Several wrestlers have said that they will quit if the sale goes through. Others have to quit because there is a wrestler named Sami Zayn, born in Canada. His parents immigrated to Canada from Syria. Apparently, Syria and Saudi Arabia don't get along, so he is banned from entering the country.
Wow.
And they have him in the WWE right now. He is in the biggest storyline in the past 10 years. And he is the main focus of it.
Right.
So if they sell it to Saudi Arabia, that whole thing that they've been working on for a year is now shot. Now, every news outlet, every wrestling YouTube channel, every wrestling website has been covering this.
I can imagine.
From the get-go. And just before we went on the air, this happened. It's now being denied. It's now being denied. They will not deny that. Well, they will not deny that they are in talks with Saudi Arabia, but they will not confirm that there's a deal in place. They said that sources say, as of right now, no one has heard that there's a deal in place. Sources say. Nothing official has come from the WWE.
Wow.
Now, here's the only thing. Apparently, the reports from last night say that a deal was not finalized, but it was what they call a deal in principle, where they made the deal. It's like a handshake deal, but now it has to go and get clearance through the stockholders and whatnot. They have to have a say in what happens, because Saudi Arabia wants to buy it and take it from being a publicly traded company to private. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because there's a betting site that they take bets on everything sports related, everything entertainment related. And they've been taking bets for the past week because it was obvious that Vince is going to sell the company. So they were taking bets as to who would be the person, the entity to buy the company. And they had places like Disney and Comcast was the number one place. But all sorts of different companies that could purchase the WWE, including Saudi Arabia. Well, last night, just before that news broke about them selling to Saudi Arabia, they closed and canceled the betting.
Wow.
So you've got the CEO or the co-CEO stepping down earlier in the day. You've got the betting site canceling all bets and closing the betting on who would buy, who would most likely buy the company. And then the reports come out that it's tentatively sold to Saudi Arabia. Now there's some reports of people backing up saying, well, we can't confirm it, but we can't deny it. But as far as we can tell, it might not be true. If it were true, this is where I want you to separate yourself for a minute and just think. If it were true, now the Saudis tried to do something similar with golf recently. Do you remember that? And It failed miserably. They couldn't get any television network to air their.
They managed to get some reasonable talent to come over them, but I think those careers were ruined by the process.
Now, if things follow suit, then that would mean that they would even if they kept it in the United States, because they own it, they would have a hard time getting it on TV. Even though it's on TV now, I'm sure that USA and Fox and Fox Sports and whatever it is, once the sale goes through, they can cancel their contract because it's no longer owned by the people they made the sale to or the agreement with.
And I bet you a lot of them would.
Which means it would be nearly impossible to get that product put on television in the United States.
Well, unless it was internet related, yeah.
Well, like I said,
it wouldn't be on prime time, let's say, on television.
Like right now, it's on Monday nights from 8 to 11 on USA Network, and from 8 to 10 on Friday nights on Fox Sports.
It would probably
Fox. Yeah.
Or for one or two stations, but I bet you the fans would be livid. I don't think many fans would appreciate that at all.
No, absolutely.
I'd be pissed too, because this is just about money. All it is about, period, money.
Now I understand that we have some sort of embargo on Saudi Arabia because of a oil deal that's gone sour, or some sort of disagreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia over oil, and that there have been some sort of sanctions or policies put in place against Saudi Arabia. Can the government tell a business that they can sell to Saudi Arabia, but if that's the case, the entire company has to leave the country for good? Or can they step in and say, you can't sell to them? If you do, there will be financial or legal consequences.
Well, are you suggesting that part A of this is a potential partnership where the U.S. company and the Saudi are joint partners?
Okay.
Or are you saying that part 2 or B of this would be that 100% of the company would be sold to the U.S. Outside the U.S. to Saudi?
100% of the company would be sold to the Saudis, but the plan is to keep Vince McMahon on running it.
Like North America.
Well,
like VW has a North America.
I would guess. I would guess. I don't think he's going to move to Saudi Arabia.
To be honest, I don't think politically, if you're talking about U.S. as a government, has anything to do, because they'd be whatever they would do with any other situation with any other company is all that the government would be able to do. Whatever laws are in place for brand X would apply to this as well.
Correct.
So that's the only involvement I think the country should have
Would they
Other
be?
than that, it's between the fans and the people that want to purchase the product.
Well. See, that's why I said. Let's say it was any other company, any other.
Mhm.
Let's say, Chevy sold all, Chevy and all it encompasses to Saudi Arabia. Would the government have the right to say, well, since you've done that, Chevy now has to leave the country?
Well, something else just I was just thinking is it would also depend on the financial aspects of it. Are they doing this as an illegal, excuse me, as an illegal way to save taxes or other monies that the government should be able to get due to how popular this is sending it to Saudi a way to bypass that, where they don't pay X amount of millions in revenue to our country for that. Then I might be able to see where there might be more leverage in the involvement of the U.S. in the sale, because they have gotten into when American Airlines and U.S. Air were merging, the government got involved in that. When we were going under Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the government got involved of how much they could screw over the people. So they kind of stepped in a little bit there. So yeah, I mean there's things a government can do when you're talking about the sheer volume of money involved. It affects so many people. I can imagine the people they employ.
Right.
There's got to be a fair amount of people that are touched by the finances of this company. So yeah, to some degree, I think we should get involved. It just depends how they handle this sale.
Do you think
Contract.
that if this turns out not to be false, because there's no right now the reports are conflicting and there's no definitive answer. If this turns out to be true and they did sell to Saudi Arabia, do you think this would be the end of that company as viewers go, as consumers go in the
As
US?
consumers, yeah, I think consumers will decide. As far as the sale goes, it's like buying a car or a potato. There's no difference. WWE can sell their business to whomever they wish.
Right.
That is apples and oranges on it. But I think as from a consumer point of view, from my point of view, that would piss me off to no end. Here they are. It's already theater, in my opinion, so I'm enjoying it for the theater of it. And they're making that theater like it's all gone. They're replacing it with just crap. And yeah,
Well, a lot of fans,
Mhm.
a lot of fans have already stated, have come out and stated, well, thank God I haven't bought WrestleMania tickets because now I refuse.
And think about the video games. I would not be surprised if even though it's lucrative, I bet you some companies will pull out.
Well, it's
Because
not just
this is
video
a
games.
bad deal. It's bad on its face for the franchise.
WWE Shop sells amazingly amounts of swag, buttons, key.
Right now, it's only a small chunk of the whole WWE thing. Once it becomes, WWE Saudi, then that's probably going to change.
I think that their profits from that are, and the wrestlers get a percentage of merchandise sales with their like this or slogan or whatever on it.
Well, what do you think? Because I don't know that answer. What do you think the actors, for lack of a better word, what do you think the participants of this sport directly will do? Like the golfers, for example. Some of them went, some said, "Fuck this."
Well,
Do you
see,
think
here's the
these
thing.
high wrestlers, the story's going to go with it.
Here's the thing. I know that they're under contract, but I don't know if it would affect their contract. Even if it didn't, I feel that a good amount of wrestlers, performers would bow out.
Well, you have to think too, when the contract becomes a Saudi contract, I think they'd be hard pressed to somehow get involved in a U.S. court to legally go after these people for
I
whatever
think they would
broke the contract.
they would bow out. Now let me explain to you why I feel that way. Sami Zayn is banned from Saudi Arabia because of his ancestry. His best friend is also a big name in the company, and that's Kevin Owens. Ever since they made a deal in 2018 with Saudi Arabia, a 10-year deal, to hold shows X amount of times a year in Saudi Arabia, Kevin Owens has refused to go. Because if they're not going to let Sami in, there's no reason for him to be there.
Right. Get that.
Also, another performer named with the ring name of MVP hasn't gone over for conscientious or religious reasons,
or both.
I'm not sure. I think it's religious. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's his beliefs that are stopping him from going.
Fair enough. That's still a good reason. I can understand why that would be.
Yeah. John Cena is not going over because of the way that because of what happened with the journalist, and because of the ban on other wrestlers. John Cena is a huge name. I mean, he's acting, he's directing, he's wrestling, he's all over the place. You see him everywhere. And he refuses to go to Saudi Arabia because of A, what they're doing to Sami, and B, what they did to the journalist. And how they just openly got away with it.
Yeah, they kind of got a pass, and that's bullshit. Plus 9/11, they got a pass too.
So if those four have already come forth long ago and said we're not going to be involved in Saudi Arabia, and now there's a report that someone else last night had said that if the deal goes through, they quit. I could see this affecting the performers in such a negative way, bringing the morale so far down that you're going to see people jumping ship left and right.
Regardless of their contracts, yeah, I agree.
It's going to be a lot of people saying, listen, I don't give a shit, I'm going to sit out my contract.
But I have a feeling that these contracts will be void because even my union, the union as a whole, had to come to an agreement with the company before the sale went through. So I think that would be a similar process with these guys that have contracts with one company. It's going to change hands, and everything about it's going to be different. So
right.
Yeah, I bet you they will be able to back out, and if there is a fight with Saudi and the WE people, I bet you even legally they wouldn't have much leg to stand on. They would still be able to walk out those contracts like that.
See, here's the thing: the guy I mentioned, Sami Zayn, who they will not allow in the country, his storyline is taking it to where he is supposed to change sides, team up with his longtime friend Kevin Owens, and they are supposed to win the tag team titles. But if Saudi won't even let him in the country, I doubt they're going to allow him to win any title.
Right, the story's dead. It's not even going to have a conclusion. It's just going to evaporate.
And this story has been going for almost a year now. It started with Sami being a loner and a conspiracy theorist, and then he tried to find people to back him and so forth, and then he found out that the bloodline, which is like all Samoan family members,
right?
They have a group, and he wanted to be with them. He liked what they were doing, and he worked his way from the bottom into the group. Finally, he got accepted into the group, and then they had a big match just recently where with him and the leader of the group, and he ended up getting pinned, and the leader got kind of pissed at him, and that's where we are right now, to where they're starting the breakup now.
Right.
And all that happened, and now you're gonna scrap the whole thing.
Right.
It just doesn't make good business sense to me that everyone who knows about the business, even from the outside, they've been saying that this is the most interesting storyline over the past decade.
And
you're-
he's, yeah, Dad is having a Trump moment or a Putin moment, pick one, and he's blowing up his company for a few bucks and to take it all away from whoever else continued to build it because he felt his legacy was thrown away or whatever.
He had said in the past that he had intended to give it to his son and his daughter.
Yeah, as he kept 81%. Yeah.
No, he intended to retire, give them the company. Just like he bought it from his dad, he was going to have them buy it from him, I believe.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, that changed. And when he was caught in this sexual harassment scandal and removed from the board, his daughter and his son-in-law took over key important roles in the company.
Right.
She was a co-CEO with someone named Nick Khan, and her son-in-law became chief content officer, which was also the head of creative and storytelling and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 5 months that they took over, they increased viewership amazingly amounts. Now, my theory is Vince saw this and said, look, I just stepped away for 5 months and they're making me look like an idiot. Screw them. I'm going to sell the fucking thing. Now, his daughter stepped down and said, nothing but nice things about everybody. But you know that the minute she stepped down, you knew something was up.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
And, and it's sad that it's all about the money.
Usually is.
Speaking of all about the money, did you know we're giving away a $50 gift card to Amazon as soon as we hit 50 subscribers?
I did.
Yeah, we're giving one lucky random subscriber will be picked to get a $50 Amazon gift card as soon as the next day after we hit 50 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, your pets.
Yeah, right.
Have them all hop on, comment, share, like, and subscribe, and get us to that 50 so we can get you that 50. And with that, Matt, I want to say thank you for helping me through all this. There's still a lot more coming later on today. But in the meantime,
I feel behind. Haven't had enough coffee yet.
Oh, you would not believe. I've been up all night. A lot of people, a lot of
I can tell.
a lot of wrestling YouTube channels have been breaking news all night long.
Wow.
Even those in England have been up all night long posting this stuff.
All right, well,
I'll
be around. You know where to find me.
So, with that said, let's go to bed, and I'll see you all in a little bit. Later.
Peace.